during that time.
Okay.
In attendance were Nick, me, Emily, Ellie, and Clark. Clark arrived at 10:15. 10 minutes.
That sounds like me. I think I
Yeah.
probably thought it was at 10:30, so that's why I got there at 10:15.
Okay, Ellie motioned to accept minutes of prior meeting with 2 spelling corrections. Nick seconded, all approved. It was brought to commission's attention by Domas that a schedule of meetings was necessary and needed to be published. Domas suggested meetings scheduled for a second Saturday of January, March, September, and November at 10 a.m. in council chambers. Ellie moved to adopt the new schedule, seconded by Nick, approved by all. Domas presented ideas he saw from a landmark commission of Denver webinar about historic signage. Landmark Commission required 3-dimensional signs within the historic districts and found that enforcement was relatively easy, as it was more appealing for businesses to present a design as required by the commission than it was to go through the cost and time of a zoning appeal procedure. Murals were also discussed, specifically repainting existing ghost or old commercial murals. Current building owners would need to agree to the repainting and would be necessary to look for artists and funding for the project. Ellie said her business would be willing to pay up to $1,500 toward cost of paint and artist. Clark suggested the need to establish a list of eligible properties within the village for landmarks consideration. Further suggested a letter writing campaign to owners of these buildings to inform them of the pros and cons of having a property listed with Landmarks Commission. Clark suggested we all look for local historical talks and seminars in order to see what other communities are doing. Ohio Historical Society annual event held in Columbus would be one of interest. It was suggested that our members visit an Aurora Landmarks Commission meeting to see what they're doing. And Clark motioned to adjourn meeting at 11 a.m. And just reading these minutes, I'm certain we had another meeting because during that other meeting, I brought up the idea of refurbishing the street signs in Mantua, because a lot of them are in bad shape. That would be those concrete posts.
Because I know we've been exchanging emails on them. I just don't remember us having a meeting to discuss them. That's my thing. But.
Yeah, I'm sure we had a meeting. Okay. And it may have been March 14th. I can't go back and look at all my records because I am homeless right now. I'm temporarily living with Ellie in part of her house because our house sold the instant it hit the market and our new house is being built. So most of my stuff is in storage right now. But sort of the information I've gotten so far from John True, it's sort of that the old signposts that we have in the village are non-compliant with ODOT regulations. And if we decide to pull one out to refurbish it, we can't plant it back because it's non-compliant. And I did write a letter to the ODOT administrator for District 4 asking if there was any special dispensation for historic preservation, because these are historic. The information I've gotten so far is that they were put up during the Depression and it was a way for giving people something to work on. I think Stam company had basically offered to make the street posts back in those days and got people hired to paint them and plant them on the street corners. And I think that's kind of a neat history for them. So I think it's up in the air yet. We may end up having to simply go around scraping and painting them. And I know downtown Mantua Revitalization has offered to buy paint and supply volunteers to do that. So that may be the direction we go rather than trying to do a really nice job removing them, sanding them, sealing them, and that will just keep them looking as good as we can.
Mm.
And I think John said that the wooden posts that we have along Main Street right now, most of the posts on Main Street are made out of wood. They've been replaced over the years. I think you said those would be compliant. So I'm going to double check on that because there are several corners of Main Street that need street signs. And if we can make wood ones that look like the old ones, I think that would be a good thing. And I'll continue pursuing that with ODOT and with John True to see what we can do to keep us legal in this.
Yeah. Do we know if Nick plans to join us?
I haven't heard. I figured I sent an email a couple weeks ago already reminding them of the meeting that his wife should have reminded him by now.
Okay.
But whenever I try to call his phone number, I get somebody else. So I probably have the wrong phone number for him.
I think him and his wife share a number. So
yeah,
that could be, but.
And let's see. We did, the Board of Zoning Appeals did approve another mural for Main Street this past week. And so there's going to be a continuation of the mural that is already there on the north wall of what was K&K Market. That'll continue across the street on the wall of the coffee company that's sort of parallel to that wall, and it will be a continuation of the same theme, same color scheme. And I think it'll be very attractive having sort of a split mural there. And I know that Compass Packaging, Phil Rath mentioned he was thinking of getting a mural down at the chilling station. So that may be coming up as well. And I know I had started at one point working on a document about the history of buildings along the Buckeye Trail in Mantua. And unfortunately, I've let that sort of fall to the back burner. I think I have a draft of it written that I can send out to the Landmarks Committee people. And I'm sure it needs quite a bit more work. But I figured that would be something appropriate for Landmarks to do, is try to provide some historic information for trail walkers. That we're seeing a lot more trail hikers here now than we have in the past. And I think that all happened because we became a trail town a few years ago. It put Mantua on the map of the Buckeye Trail hikers. Do either of you guys have any ideas for what we should be doing next?
Well, do we want to call the meeting to order, or do we want to give Ellie a few more minutes?
I'd say let's call it to order.
Well, you know, your solicitor's going to jump in here. Sorry, I've been eavesdropping. You can't really call your meeting to order until you have a quorum. And since this is a 7-person committee, you need 4 people.
Need 4. Okay.
Sorry.
We only have 5 people on the committee.
But your committee has 7 members. There are 2
Can
vacant.
have up to 7. Yeah.
You
We don't
need
have the
4
other
out of 7 to
yeah.
conduct any business.
Okay.
So
All right.
I apologize. That's what you get when you get your
No.
solicitor running your Zoom meeting too.
Thanks for keeping us accurate there and compliant there, Michelle.
So you may want to wait a while,
Okay.
but as I told Tom before you both signed on, I'm going to make him the host and let him end the meeting when you're done. You are live on YouTube, so when he ends the meeting, that will end by itself. So
Okay.
I think you need me now that I've butted in with my 2 cents worth on forums.
Okay, let me give Ellie a call and see if there's anything I can do to help her get connected.
If she needs me to send her that link again, I can certainly do that.
Okay, I'll find
Not
out in a
working with
moment.
Laptop or anything?
Hi,
Maybe.
Ellie, how you doing?
I'm gonna call Nick too.
Well, Ellie doesn't have access to her computer.
Hello, this is Clark.
She said that basically.
Clark Magditch from the Landmarks Commission. Yeah, yeah. Do you know if he? Okay. Good, Nick. We're having a meeting today. Did you plan to attend the Zoom meeting or? He did. Okay. 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 Yeah. Well, right now actually, but let me forward you the. Let me see. Well, but we're having a Zoom meeting. There's no one at the chambers. It's yeah. Okay. 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 Because you guys, I think you can maybe just dial in by phone too. I'm trying to check for you. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know, but I think they opted for the Zoom meeting. Um, let me check. I'm checking. That's what I'm checking. I'm trying to see what email they sent it to you. Looks like they sent it to Nick and Linda at att.net is where it went. Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe it got lost in your junk or spam filter or something. But hey, yeah, give me a second here. Let me tie in. Hey, Tom, is there a phone number for Nick to dial in on?
I think I'd rather have Michelle answer that.
Well-
What I gave Ellie didn't work. That was the passcode and the
Okay, give me a second.
meeting ID.
There
Dial in by phone.
are some dial-in numbers, and then you have to punch in the 11-digit
Passcode.
meeting ID and the passcode related to phone dial-in, which is not Mantua 1898.
Yeah.
So those
Yeah, I
are,
see a lot of phone numbers listed there. Should I try giving him is it the New York one that he would need, or
I think any of them should work, New York or
I think any of them
Chicago.
should work? Yeah. Okay. All right, Nick, you got a pen and paper handy? Okay. The phone number is 929 205 6099. And then I think it's going to ask you for a passcode, which should be, let's see. Or no, maybe it's going to ask you for a meeting ID. So the meeting ID is 830 2478 9725. That'll be your meeting ID. And then the passcode is 373. I know. We'll see how this goes. Yeah. And then it keeps going. 373 108 1395. Okay. So you got 3 sets of numbers. You got your dial in, your meeting ID, and your passcode. Do you want to read those back to me? I can make sure we got them all right for you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. It should be 9725. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's your meeting ID. Yeah. And then your next passcode. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. You should be good. Okay. Yeah. That's dial. If you look in your computer in your email, you should also have instructions to if you want to try to log in via Zoom. But yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks. Okay. So he's gonna try to dial in.
And I was going to say Ellie failed on that because
Did she? Okay.
she said the passcode didn't seem to work for her.
Yeah.
And, so we'll see. Maybe
We'll see what happens.
Was Ellie trying to log in through her email? Like, did she just click on the link? Because when I join, I just hit a link. I don't type in any passcode or any
Right.
meeting ID.
Well, Ellie's off in the woods of Pennsylvania right now, so she doesn't have her laptop with her, and
Yeah.
she's
It
sort
might
of-
be different because I know you can log in using your smartphone too. So I don't know if it's different with the smartphone versus like a laptop computer.
I've had no problem with a smartphone, but I think she's maybe technically challenged like Nick is.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think the thing is you have to install Zoom or get Zoom out of the App Store before you can launch it.
Yes. Yeah, I had to download
Yeah.
it real quick to get it set up and everything, but so. But yeah, to your point, Tom, I called their house and I got his wife first. And I said, "Hi, this is Clark from Landmarks Commission." It took her a minute to remember who I was, and then she just got Nick on the phone. But I have a home phone for him and I have a cell phone, so I just tried his home phone first. But.
Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue.
How's things going at the school with all the pandemic stuff, Emily?
Well, this week was our first week with kids.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I have a class of 25.
Wow.
Good luck keeping social distance.
I know. Goodness.
They're not all that long. It was a good start. It was a good week, actually. Things, to my knowledge, went fairly smoothly, so I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I know. I've heard it kind of depends on the school. Like, I'm originally from Trumbull County, so I know like Mahoning County a lot. I've heard a lot of their like their buildings are just larger, so it's easier for them to accommodate social distancing. And then some of the schools in Trumbull County, because they're smaller, they're doing like a mixed model where they'll have like they'll separate the whole school by like 2 groups, and one group comes in 2 days a week, another comes in 2 days, and then they're all remote on like one day to get
Right.
so the school can be clean. So.
Well, we're there every day.
Yeah.
But we have plastic partitions on the desks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have to spray those down after each class. But
I know this would have been a good year for someone to invest in the, what is it, plexiglass futures or something.
yeah,
You'd have made a fortune this year.
yep. But luckily it's been cool because we don't have air conditioning in the high school.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cooled off recently, so that's nice.
Yeah, it's been a better start in terms of temperature
Hmm.
in years past. So, but I'm feeling optimistic.
Yeah. I know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, my son teaches in rural North Carolina, and they're on that sort of hybrid model.
Mhm.
Hi, did somebody just join?
Yep, it's Nick. I finally got in. I had
Fantastic.
to use.
Excellent, Nick.
I had to use the cell phone. I didn't realize that you had to use that, but figured it out
Oh,
in a
okay.
couple minutes.
Cool.
Actually. All right.
Okay,
All right.
well, we now have a quorum in attendance, so I can call the meeting to order. Uh,
Hey, Tom, you're the host. I'll be heading off then.
Okay, thank you, Michelle.
Sure.
Okay, the meeting is called to order at 10:18 a.m. today. And unfortunately, Elliot was unable to log in or call in. So we don't have her to read us the minutes of the prior meeting. So that's going to have to wait till the next meeting, I'm afraid. What I remember the prior meeting was that we discussed the street posts in Mantua and trying to refurbish those and replace the ones that are missing. And since that time, I've gone out and done an inventory of all the street signs in Mantua, and which was really neat. I got to walk every street in Mantua, and I haven't done that yet. And Mantua is small enough; it can be done in a couple of hour-long walks, actually.
Mm.
And I sort of listed which ones needed paint, which were good, which ones were wood, which ones were concrete, which ones were metal posts with signs on top of them. And after approaching village administrator, and that it was, we found that the concrete posts are not ODOT compliant, and they didn't think it was legally possible to replace any. And John True said, yeah, if you pull one out of the ground to do a nice job of refinishing it, you wouldn't be able to replant it because it's not compliant. And I think he had talked to an ODOT supervisor in District 4, and basically ODOT agreed with him on that. I wrote a letter to ODOT myself trying to see if there was any chance that in light of this historic nature of these street posts and how they're a unique feature of the village, whether we could get some quote grandfathering or some historic preservation allowance to let us do that. I haven't heard back yet. So at this point, it seems like the only thing that could really be done is to go through, scrape, and repaint the existing posts. That wouldn't violate any rules. And downtown Mantua revitalization has a few volunteers that wouldn't mind spending a few days outside scraping and painting. So I'll just have to get the authorized colors from the service department and work out a schedule for getting some of them done.
Hey, Tom, what's the stink about why the government doesn't like these posts? Are they concerned about because they're concrete? Someone
Yeah, they're
driving up, hitting
concrete.
them, or, pardon me?
That's exactly it. They're concrete and they're not breakaway posts. And
Oh,
my view on that is that if somebody's going to drive over our sidewalks, I'd rather have them stopped. But that's,
I agree 100%, but
but
But I-
ODOT thinks that we should have breakaway posts and these don't qualify for that.
But-
They also have, the new ODOT regs actually specify the height the street signs have to be, and these being at ground level certainly wouldn't qualify that way either. And I think the best we can do is try to preserve what we have. And I was also asking them if, like, several of the posts that we have are wooden, and whether that would be considered a breakaway material rather than the concrete. And if that's the case, maybe we can replace some missing posts with wooden ones like they have along Route 44. Most of the ones on Main Street going through town are wooden. Hold on a second.
well, I think wood would probably break if hit hard enough, but it's also, I got to believe, a hindrance too. It's better than concrete or steel.
Yeah.
Whatever ODOT says you're stuck with. That's the bureaucracy, in my opinion. More rules, more regulations, more employees.
Well, I'm hoping to get a response from that ODOT supervisor that I can, that'll absolutely settle the issue for me. Because right now I'm relying on the village administrator, and I know he talked to ODOT and got their ruling, but I'm not sure he stressed the historic nature of the posts at that point. So I want to be sure that got aired.
Yeah, it sounds like you're way on top of it. Excellent job on your part. Good luck with bureaucracy, though.
Thanks. Yeah, I think one of the things that brought this up is we missed the spring cleanup this year with high school students. And usually one of the jobs we have them do is go out and repaint the street signs. And a lot of them are showing peeling paint and weathering and that we need to go and do that, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's just fair wear and tear, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom, were you responsible for that beautiful mural painted on the side of the building?
I had to approve it via the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Boy, whoever did that did a lovely job.
Well, we just approved a second mural that will continue that same picture across the street on the coffee company wall.
Wow.
So as you're driving south and see the mural on the left-hand side, the sort of small wall on the right-hand side, which is about 10 foot tall, it's street at the sidewalk and sort of narrows down to maybe 4 or 5 feet as it goes up the hill there. We'll continue exactly the same scene in the same colors, by the same artists.
Great.
Those local artists, who did that?
Holly Mickelson, who's a local artist, she has a company, I think, called 5 Photography. And she's a relatively new resident in town. And the other artist was a muralist, Amanda. Her last name's not coming to me, but yeah, they're both local. And Holly has sort of gotten into doing murals because she's doing another one outside of the village right now. And I'm sure she'll be working on the one we just approved as well. So it looks like people are getting interested in having murals. So I think the showing station may get a mural next year. Phil Rath, the owner of Compass, has been talking about like the building's nice and bright blue, but it might be interesting to do a little bit of artwork on it as well. So hopefully he'll follow through with that.
Right. They're going to do art in the park. I assume they're not going to do that. The village. I haven't heard anything.
I haven't either.
Okay. Because boy, with those murals, what a great place to have the art in the park. You know, that just should draw more attention to the village.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
When do they usually have art on the hill? Is it during the?
That was supposed to be the weekend after July 4th.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I couldn't
Yeah.
remember if it was in the spring.
Yeah, we canceled it. Basically, downtown Mantua Revitalization canceled all their fundraisers for this year.
Yeah.
And we're working on a online auction fundraiser that for most of our events, we have artisans or local businesses donate something for either a silent auction or gift baskets or something like that. So we're going to be approaching the same people to try to get donations that we can use for an online auction. And so far, we've gotten some interesting donations. That might be a good online event coming up over the next few months. I know there's a weekend at a cottage on Put-in Bay. There's a wine tour. There's odds and ends. And I think a lot of the local artisans are willing to donate to DMRC's fundraising. So we're hopeful that comes off.
We've already established we can't really do a reading of the minutes with Ellie not present, but do we want to do an official roll call real quick?
Sure. I'm Tom and I'm here.
I'm here.
Clark Magditch is
Nick, go ahead.
I just said Clark Magditch is present.
Nick Ehlert's here, present.
And Ellie is in the woods of Pennsylvania and not present.
I'll make a motion to excuse her if I hear a second.
I second.
Okay, very good.
What is she doing in Pennsylvania?
Oh, she was in Washington area all last week visiting her daughter. And on the way back, she's visiting a sister that lives in the woods of Pennsylvania. Literally.
Oh, God bless.
By Cook's
Yeah,
Forest.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Cooks. Well, it's a shame because the color hasn't changed because the Pennsylvania Turnpike could be beautiful in October with the leaves, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
See, that's like visiting a sister in the middle of the woods. That's like the ideal vacation destination in the middle of a pandemic.
I know us Canadians in Mantua, that being the residents of Canada Road, we're the only rural residential district road in Mantua, and we decided this was the perfect place to socially isolate ourselves. There's only a few houses on the street, and most people don't want to drive on the street because it's so rough. So I can walk my dog from one end of the street to the next and rarely have to stop to let a car go by. Now we've sort of talked about the signposts, street signs. There was something I'd started working on a while back and let slip to the back burner was the Buckeye Trail walking historic landmarks on the Buckeye Trail that I was working on. It sort of builds off of what Nick did on East Prospect and would continue down 44 to Canada Road. And, it will include more than simply historic landmarks or historic buildings. It'll include a little bit of history about existing buildings. Like, I don't think anybody would consider Compass Packaging to be a historic building, but maybe a little bit of the history of what companies have been in there over the years
Okay.
would be
Yeah.
of interest to a hiker.
Yeah.
We'd certainly be passing the railroad station, which is one of the reasons Mantua exists, is that we had a railroad here. Then coming down Canada Road, we do have a bit of history on a couple of the houses here, and we have the old Indian mound on Canada Road. And I was thinking I'd contact the Kent Anthropology Department to see if they have the survey report where they determined it was an Indian mound, and maybe get an idea from them how old it was and which Indians, was it the Adena or the Hopewell or whichever
Right.
culture put the mound up. That it wouldn't be bad having some kind of little plaque explaining that the mound is there. So luckily I've been donating to the anthropology department at Kent for the last 25 years, just a little annual donation so they can add a book to their library. And I think that buys me some goodwill, and they may get a student to do a little research for us.
Where's that located? Is that along Canada Road, you said?
Yeah, as you come off of Route 44 headed east on Canada Road,
Okay.
you will see there is a bridge, a small bridge just past the old farmhouse where I used to live. And as you cross the bridge on the left-hand side or the north side of the road is a small hill that is an Indian mound.
Okay.
It's pretty well invisible until the leaves drop and the weeds die down. As you look at it right now, and you can see maybe there's a bit of a hill there, but
Yeah.
it's only really visible in the autumn through springtime.
Hmm. I'm taking a little bit of notes anyway, so I figure I might as well. I'll put together meeting minutes.
Thank you, Clark.
Yeah, in Ellie's absence,
Mhm.
we don't have our secretary today.
Do you think the village should have any interest in removing some of those trees that are in front of the mound and putting up a marker?
That's all on private property, so I don't think the village has much to say about it.
No, I hope not then.
Yeah, I know it sits sort of between Jim Haylett's and the Wilson's properties. So I think part of it is on each of their properties. And I've sort of talked to Jim Haylett about cleaning that up a little bit to make it more visible. And he's very much of the opinion that, yep, when I get around to it, I'll do it, because he does nothing but works on improving his yard. So one of these years he'll get around to it. But right now he's been working, trying to clean up the area of his property along Route 44. So if you drive down 44, just north of Canada Road, you'll see that that area has been cleared. The weeds are down. It's a nice looking spot now. And he has about, I think, 27 or 8 acres there that he tries to keep as cleaned up as he can. And he hasn't really gotten to the part that's on the other side of the bridge. He's basically built a walking path there so he can walk down to the Cuyahoga from there. But his plate's been full working on the Route 44 frontage.
So for like the plaque, would that probably be more something that would be along the trail to guide people's
I would
vision
think,
of
seeing as how it's a Indian mound, we might be able to get some sort of official plaque from the Ohio archaeologist
okay.
down in Columbus.
But I'm just like talking, where would it be placed? Like if the actual mound itself's on.
I think it would be just east of the bridge on Canada Road on the north side of the street, saying there's an Indian mound behind this plaque, giving a little bit of history of it.
Okay. I attended the Aurora's Landmarks meeting. Goodness, when did they hold that? Back in February. So it was kind of interesting. It looks like they had like one application they had gotten in and they were considering and reviewing. It seemed to be it was like an older type shed, older building that now at this point it's just basically being utilized as a garage by the owner of the property. But their big thing I think they were doing is it's one of those where it's like a car garage, but there's a divider down the middle, like a support beam. And I think what they were looking to do is to basically make that into one big long door. So there was, kind of that's basically I think the purpose of the application as far as replacing the garage door and doing away with that middle beam. It was interesting. I mean, I think kind of like with the application itself, there was kind of some disappointment with the application just because they have certain standards as far as what they think needs, what should be included in the application, as far as like, mock-ups and, building planning and what's that word I'm looking for? Like a
Preservation.
building plan, stuff like that. Like, so I think they had included like kind of like a hand drawing. It was kind of like a crude, parts of the application were kind of crude, but Jeff Clark, he's their, I guess he would be their chairman. He said, even though the application isn't great and, the person who was applying for it, they weren't even present at the meeting to present their case or even answer any questions in the committee. He was kind of hesitant to try and penalize them just because most people, they just go ahead and make this change without even going through the application process. So in the end, and I think they had some debate on the color because it wasn't clear if they were going to change the color of the door that was being, the new door that was going to be installed or whatnot. But in the end, they basically approved her application by a 3-2 vote.
Now, was this on a house that was on a registry of historic places?
And that was the thing, because I don't think it was on the historic registry, but it was still within the historical district. So, yeah. And I'm trying to, let me look at my notes because I thought there was a in there. Yeah, I think it had to do more with like the rules of homes within that historical district than it did being like on the actual historical registry, on the national registry.
Okay.
So that was like that was like the application they discussed that evening, and then I think they're talking about through their historical district. I think right now, like one side of the street has a sidewalk, and I think they're looking in there's like, this is kind of like all long term, but they're like kind of working on a master plan for the district. They want to work on installing a sidewalk on the other side of the street and putting lamp posts throughout the street as well. So there was kind of discussion on that as far as what that would look like, and the design of the lamp posts and all that. So that was like the other major discussion point they had at that, but it was interesting.
So they actually have a little more
Yeah,
involvement in people upgrading or changing their buildings in the historic district. So I don't think we have much say so in that.
Yeah, they are. Aurora is much stricter on that. And when we started ours, I went to a couple of their meetings, and they were really, I thought, extremely well done. And given that's 5-6 years ago, whatever it is, but they really work hard at it, and we're really strict. So I'm surprised that they allow, if it's a historical building, any massive changes to it. Is it a really old building, or is it just a building sitting in the historic district?
I think it was just one that was in the historic district. And that's the thing. I have the application. They actually were kind enough to give me a copy of the application that the applicant submitted. Let me see if it says the date of because that's the thing. Since the work that was being, like the change or whatever, the work that was being done was on like an outbuilding, not like on the house itself. I don't know if the outbuilding was perhaps older than the home itself. The home looks pretty old. It's a very crude picture on the application, but it's an old looking home to me. But
Is it east of the river or west of it?
It's on
Is that
South
little-
Chillicothe Road.
What's the road?
South Chillicothe Road.
Oh, okay, 306.
Mhm.
Jeez.
Looks like it's not too far from the Pioneer, the intersection with Pioneer Trail. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm seeing a date that the home or the building was constructed on here or not.
Well, I guess it really doesn't matter
Yeah,
for us, but
I was just
curious.
seeing if I could find it for you real quick, Nick, but yeah, it doesn't look like looks like it mentions it, but yeah, I guess it's like a carriage style garage doors that are currently there, and I guess they're starting to rot away. So that's kind of the big reason that she's wanting to replace it and upgrade it.
Well, God bless her.
Yeah. So it looks like had she just opted to replace the two doors, I don't even know that she would need to necessarily do an application, but because she's opting to just replace it with one large door, you know, that's why she has to go through the commission to get that approval. So anywho, so that's what happened. Yeah, I guess, and I think Aurora mentioned too, they kind of have like property tax incentives and a couple things that they try that they have in their back pocket too to kind of encourage people to register their home, or become part of the historical district. But I know that's probably not something Manaway has at their disposal, unfortunately. But so yeah, but that's what happened at that meeting that I attended.
So do we have any other business to discuss?
I was just gonna mention on the horizon, because me and Tom were discussing this, privately in emails and phone calls earlier this year. But what is it? The Ohio Local History Alliance, they have regional conferences, and their main large conference down in Columbus every year. So we were discussing the possibility of, if our Landmarks Commission wants to get together and attend one of those conferences at some point in the future. The regional conferences are always in the spring, and the large statewide conference is down in Columbus in the fall each year. So the spring one was obviously canceled this year. Me and Tom were kind of seeing if we wanted to try and attend that, but that was canceled due to COVID. And for the one for Columbus this fall, I don't know if it's still on or not, but I imagine even if it was, and in light of caution, I don't know how any of us would feel about attending that anyway. But something we can maybe just keep on our horizon for next year.
Well, I know the Main Street program that DMRC is part of, and Ravenna has a Main Street, and Kent does as well.
Mhm.
They have groups that try to liven up or revitalize their main streets. Their annual conference was all done via Zoom and video conference.
Oh, they did it Zoom. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's kind of been something that's been developing too. Yeah, because now I think that it's kind of been established that this pandemic's going to go on a lot longer than I think a lot of people thought. I think there's kind of a movement or whatever to do a lot of these sort of things via Zoom and whatnot. But okay, yeah, that's interesting. So, but yeah, I just thought, come next spring, we can be thinking about that. I know this year when I was trying to look into it, it was a very last minute because I think we had to have our application in by I think it was the Friday before our scheduled meeting in March. So I was kind of scrambling last minute to see, do we want to put in our application to attend or whatnot, and there's a small registration fee too. And here they just ended up canceling it last minute for COVID anyway. But I just thought I'd mention that if we want to consider attending any of those next year. And then with our that letter writing campaign I had mentioned at our last meeting, do we kind of have any interest in doing that? Just as far as right now, we don't have any kind of we don't have any registry established of any historical homes in Mantua, just because we don't have any that are officially on the registry. But I didn't know if we wanted to make a list of just the historic homes in general, just so we kind of, I don't know, do we have something like that out there anyway, any place right now, Nick or Tom?
There had been, the Historical Society had done one on those homes. You'll see some of them going up on Prospect Street have historical home with a date on them.
Yeah.
That was done, God, I don't know, way before I moved in here in 2000.
Yeah.
So it goes way back. And I think my wife looked in Historical Society and they couldn't find the original reports on those houses.
Okay.
I had written an article on at least two of them, I think, two or three.
Yeah, because I know there's been pamphlets we've drawn up. I don't know. It's just I thought it would be good if we could kind of get some kind of master list started, just so we know, we have some kind of list somewhere of the historical homes in Mantua. And then if we ever do want to go forward with the letter campaign, we have a list to work off of folks who feel would maybe be interested or would benefit from it. So.
Well, the township here wants to do the zoning wants to do a walking tour on the houses. And I had written a bunch, starting with the old school that they preserved, and then going down Mantua Center and then down Pioneer Trail down to the river of the sites. And they said, well, we should get the village involved too. And I said, well, I think that's a great idea, but trying to get people to write stuff and do that research is really time consuming. People have lives, but I just throw that out there if anyone there is really interested in doing that.
Yeah.
And we'll see where the township goes with it. I know the work that's going to be involved in that. So
yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah, if we could just some kind of Excel document or something, if we could just get some, and it doesn't have to be this is why this place is necessarily historical, just so we can have kind of a list of addresses, just so we know we kind of have some kind of master list somewhere.
So are you saying just addresses and when those houses were built?
Perhaps. We could start it really, we can kind of, my thought was to just so we have a list and we have something somewhere, but we could start real simple, just at least getting the addresses. And then from there, we can try to find out when these places were built, maybe the current owner, things like that. I would be satisfied with at least just getting started a list of addresses and then building from there. That's just kind of my thought. And then once we have that, some kind of list established or something from there, we can consider, do we want to try, an annual letter writing campaign or something? Would you be interested in registering your home or whatnot? If you are, here's what's involved, or, that kind of thing.
I want to tackle sort of what Nick said. I went down to the county to try to research my house when I lived in the old farmhouse here on Canada Road. And I think I spent a good 3 hours sort of following the records and where they have all the deeds and
Yeah.
that. And it got very confusing very fast.
Yeah.
Because,
I can imagine.
those are all listed by plot and plot number, and our plots sort of got divided many times and trying to track down which one your house is on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think I spent about 3 hours doing that work, and I came up with an old handwritten document. And unfortunately, the handwriting's so bad I can't read the darn thing.
Well, that is
Handwriting's
one of those
even
great
worse than
big.
my own. And
That
so
was one
that's
of
sort
those
of where I said,
books
heck with this. I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know where the farmhouse stood, there was a house there prior to ours. And I had the barn dated by a barn guide being about 1830 to 1835. So I figured there was probably a house of similar age on that property at one time. And just looking at the basement of the house that we had, the basement looked a lot older than 1910 when that farmhouse was built. So we're thinking that either the original house burned and they rebuilt on the same foundation, or something of that nature. So, but I never really tracked down what the original house was or when it was built. And I'm afraid it's probably in that undecipherable document that I got to. And that was just working on one house that I had a personal interest in. And after 3 or 4 hours, I can honestly say I failed to get what I wanted out of those records. So
Yeah.
trying to, unless the homeowner knows the history of the house,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work to do that. And I commend Nick for having gone through that. It's not an easy task at all.
Yeah.
Heck, I was trained as a librarian, so I'm used to going through indexes and tracking stuff down. And it was still a very difficult task. And
yeah. I mean, I'm not proposing we necessarily, research all these homes or do anything to that level of thing. Just kind of just getting a list of just addresses is kind of
okay.
what I was
But if
thinking.
the homeowner knows the date, we can add that.
Something very basic. Yeah, just so we kind of have something. I don't know. I think it would be useful for anything, any kind of action the commission or would try to do in the future. Just having kind of an inventory, as it were, of the village.
I think calling it an inventory rather than a registry is probably a good idea.
Yeah. Inventory of, historic older homes. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so this might be a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. So I'm assuming then that means the house would have to be at least 100 years old, or what are we classifying as age in order for it to be significant enough to be on our spreadsheet? Like 100 years at least? 100 years?
Probably, yeah.
I think if you walk down the streets, most of the houses in Mantua are over 100 years old. That would cover a whole lot of them in the sort of the central housing district there. And on Canada Road, I think there's 1, 2. There's probably 4, maybe 5 that are in that age also, out of the dozen houses on the street here. And we've had more new buildings here than most streets in Mantua.
Yeah. Well, even if we would just start from the ones that are you know, the ones that have plaques in the village, or ones that have, you know, are mentioned in some of the, you know, the leaflets or the pamphlets, or, you know, the things that have already been drawn up by, you know, you or Nick in the past. You know, that could be something we could start with too. Just ones
Now,
that
I
are,
could attend one of the council meetings and ask them, ask council if they'd approve us doing a letter campaign, like maybe
Mhm.
doing a street at a time,
yeah, Yeah.
trying to write letters to the building owners, because unfortunately half the places in Mantua are rental property. So we'd have to track
Yeah.
down the building owner to
that's true too. Yeah, I hadn't considered that.
properly do this and see if they're willing to provide information so we can get an inventory of housing in Mantua and when their house was built. And I would tend to say that I don't care if it's 100 years old or 20 years old, as long as we had an inventory of the houses and their
Yeah,
ages. I think that's something we could use
yeah.
in the future.
There might be something out there already, yeah, that we wouldn't have to start from scratch, as it were.
Yeah.
Okay.
That I think somewhere I remember that the Landmarks Commission does have a budget if we want to do a project. And for some reason, $400 sticks in my head, that up to $400 a year we're allowed to spend for either having a booth like at the Potato Festival or Art on the Hill, or writing letters or something like that. We are allowed to spend a little bit of money, but we do have to get council approval to do so. So I could go and ask them if they'd be up for that.
Okay. Sounds good.
And I'll throw it out there to the teacher at the high school that has the seminar class. I don't know if that's some sort of project that she could kind of get any of the high schoolers involved with. And now this year's crazy anyways. So who knows what the school year is going to look like. But I could just make mention to Chris Spencer that,
Not her again.
Our committee has interest in kind of an inventory of houses in the village that are at least 100 years old. And I don't know, maybe that could turn into some sort of project. So maybe we could outsource a little bit of the work and get the high school kids involved as well.
That's a great idea. And I know Chris Spencer is pretty enthusiastic when she gets to work with Mantua Village.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
She and I are pretty good friends. So I'll talk to her about it as well.
Is she like a history teacher?
She's not, she's an English teacher, but she,
Okay.
I believe her seminar class, maybe it's leadership also, but I think it's some of her kids that are down in the village, you know, doing spring cleanup and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
She's
It's like
involved.
a leadership seminar or whatever. Okay, that she teaches. Okay.
I know she also does poetry workshops in her English classes. So I like to see that.
Okay. Very good. All right. Well, anybody have anything else?
In that case, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I motion that you have an adjournment.
Second?
Yes, second.
Okay. And I think it's 11:01. And oh, before I close the meeting, Clark, since you're taking notes, can you just send a quick email of those notes out?
Well, I certainly will. Yes.
That'll enable me to take it to council and tell them what we did this.
Right. Yeah. I'll work on getting these drawn up and typed up, and when I do, I'll send them out to you.
Thanks a lot.
Present to council. I'll copy you and Ellie on it.
Okay.
See if
So
That way, if we need to make any edits or before I send it out to the wider group, if we need to clean up my notes or, my minutes or whatever, we can do that before we distribute it to the wider
Okay.
commission, if that sounds good. Okay. What time? Let's see. Nick, do you show on your phone there what time you joined our call? Because that would let us know what time we
No, it does not.
what time we brought the meeting to. Does it say how long? Does it have like a ticker? How long your phone you've been on your
I
call?
think we called it to order at 10:18.
About 10:18. Okay.
Yeah, that sticks in my mind.
All right. So called to order at 10:18. Okay. And adjournment at 11:01. Sounds good. Okay. I think I have everything I need to get these typed up. So.
Well, thank you, everybody.
All right, take care. Great job.
Yep,
Be safe.
everybody. Yep. Everybody stay safe.
Okay.
You guys.
Bye.
Take care. Bye now.
November now, correct? Second Saturday of November is our next.
Correct. Yes.
Correct.
So it looks like that'll be the 14th, November the 14th.
And how do you guys feel about having a meeting, since there's only at the most 5 of us? We could probably meet in council chambers and maintain our distance from each other.
Yeah, I'd be
Try
fine
to
with
do it
that.
in person.
Yeah, I'd be fine if we want to,
Okay.
the next one, if we want to do in person.
Okay, very good.
Yep.
I'll put that note out when we pass out the minutes via email.
Okay.
Very
All
good.
right. Very good.
Enjoy your weekend.
Yep. You guys as well. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.